Okay, one of the first things you need to do is create a data dictionary, and this is just a planning document for your database to explain the different tables that are going to be in your database and the fields that are going to be within those tables. So here's an example of a couple of tables and a data dictionary for the Olympic database. So you can see here it's just a simple table in Word with some bits of information and some headings. So here's the name of my table. This one's the volunteers table, and I've put TBL in front just to separate that from other things in the database, so I know it's a table. So TBL, table volunteers, and then there's a list of field names that could be inside that table, the data type for each of those field names, the field length or format for each of those fields, and just an example of some of the data that would appear in each of those fields. So here you can see my field names for the volunteers table, and most of those are straightforward. Notice that there's no spaces in between words, and each word starts with a capital letter. That's just a convention in databases that you need to adhere to, really. So there's a list of all the stuff that's going to be stored inside that volunteers table. Here you can see next to volunteer ID I've put primary key in brackets, and you need to identify one field in each of your tables that uniquely identifies every record in that table. I couldn't use first name or last name because some people might share the same first name and last name, so that's not unique. Nothing else in that list is going to be unique. You could argue that the emails could be unique, but we'll go with the volunteer ID as the primary key. So you identify the primary key, the unique thing that's going to identify each record. Data types are just a way of identifying the type of data that's going to be stored in each of these fields. And as you can see, the majority in this table are going to be text data types, apart from this specialist field, which is simply going to be yes or no. It's going to be a tick in a box. Other data types could be number, they could be currency if you're storing somebody's salary, they could be date or time if you're storing somebody's date of birth or another date. The field length, this is the number of characters you think might be the maximum required for each field. So I'm guessing that nobody's going to have a name that's longer than 20 characters, first name or last name. The addresses, I'm going to allow 40 characters each for those. Postcode, there shouldn't be a postcode that's bigger than 8 characters. The age group is just going to be a letter, A, B, C or D, so I only need one character field length for storing that detail. Specialist is going to be a tick or no tick, so that's only one character, and I'm allowing about 30 characters for each of the emails. And there's just an example of some of the data that would go inside each of those fields. So that's my volunteers table, and here's another table I've got, venues. Again, I've identified a primary key, because that's my venue ID, that's the unique identifier. The data type is auto number, and all that means is that every time I create a new venue, it automatically gives me the next number in the list. So it saves me making a mistake of duplicating numbers, it just generates numbers automatically. And because it's a number, it's a slightly different field length or format, and it's just a long integer, it just means that you can use numbers in that data type. And again, there's some examples. So there's two tables in my data dictionary. You need to create a data dictionary for each of the tables that you're going to create in your database.